So, India's latest budget is out, and let me tell you, it's so much more than just a financial statement. It's really a declaration of intent, a bold new vision for the country's economic future. In this explainer, we're going to break it all down, the key pieces of the union budget and its incredibly ambitious plan to turn India into a global economic powerhouse. The finance minister used this exact phrase to describe India, especially with all the turbulence happening around the world. And honestly, it's a powerful way to kick things off. The whole idea here is to position India not just as a country that's surviving in a chaotic world, but as a stable hub that's absolutely poised for some massive growth. Okay, so to really get our heads around this plan, we're going to walk through 5 key areas. We'll start with this whole concept of a frontier economy. Then we'll dive right into the numbers, the really crucial figures. From there, we'll look at the big push to become a high-tech nation, see what it all means for you as a taxpayer. And finally, we'll step back and look at the big picture, the verdict on this Vision 2047. Right, so the most important thing to understand here is that this is a strategic pivot. The government is basically saying, okay, the post-pandemic recovery phase is over. The new goal is to build what they're calling a frontier economy. And what does that mean? Well, it's an economy built on really sophisticated manufacturing, on intellectual property, and on world-class infrastructure. This is all about future-proofing the economy, making sure India's competing on value and innovation, not just on cost. And this entire strategy is really built on 3 core principles, or kartavyas, which you can think of as duties. First, keep the economic growth strong and steady. Second, empower people, build their capacity to reach their own goals. And third, make absolutely sure that the benefits of all this growth reach everyone. These 3 pillars are the foundation for everything else. All right, let's get into the numbers, because this is where you can really see the strategy in action. The government is trying to pull off a pretty tricky balancing act here. They're spending aggressively on the future, but at the same time, they're tightening the belt to keep things financially stable. And what's fueling their confidence in this balancing act? A projected 10% nominal GDP growth. To put it simply, that means the entire economic pie is expected to get 10% bigger this year. That kind of strong growth gives the government a lot more room and a lot more money to invest in these big, ambitious projects. Now, what's really fascinating is that even with all these huge spending plans, the government is showing some serious fiscal discipline. They're trying to get the fiscal deficit, that's the gap between what they spend and what they earn, down to 4.3% of GDP. It's kind of like a household deciding to do a major home renovation while also working hard to pay down its credit card debt. That focus on responsible spending is absolutely crucial for long-term stability.
And here it is. This is the big bet. A record-shattering 12.2 lakh crore rupees in capital expenditure. And that's not just a number on a page. It's a massive, tangible investment in the physical backbone of the country. We're talking roads, ports, railways, digital networks, the whole shebang.
This chart, it illustrates the strategy perfectly. Just look at that difference. Capital expenditure, that's the money spent on creating long-term assets, is growing at 11.5%. But revenue expenditure, which is for day-to-day costs and subsidies, is growing at a much, much slower 6.6%. The choice here is crystal clear. Build for the future over just spending for today. So, we know they're investing a ton of money, but where is it all going? In this section, we're going to look at the specific high-tech engines that are being built to power this new frontier economy and, hopefully, push India way up the global value chain. So they're not just throwing money around. They're making very specific, targeted bets on key industries. This includes a new mission for semiconductors, a huge push into advanced medicines with a program called Biopharma SHAKTI, and securing supply chains for vital rare earth minerals. There's also a big focus on making things like shipping containers right here in India and boosting the creative and digital sectors, which they're calling the orange economy. Now, a huge part of this high-tech drive is actually in the defense sector. After a major military incident in 2025, the defense budget has shot up by 15%. But here's the crucial part. 75% of the money for new military gear must be spent on equipment made by Indian companies. That is a massive boost for the Make in India initiative and a really strategic move towards self-reliance and national security. And this is what all that infrastructure spending looks like on the ground. The budget introduces 7 new high-speed rail corridors. I mean, just look at these travel times. They're not just a little bit faster, they're completely transformative. Mumbai to Pune in under an hour? It will literally shrink the country and connect major economic centers like never before. So, we've seen the big picture, the macro numbers, the high-tech vision, but what does all of this mean for the average person, for businesses? Let's talk about the new deal for taxpayers. Okay, this is a genuinely historic change. The government is completely replacing the old, super complicated 1961 Income Tax Act with a brand new law designed for the modern world. The goal is simple: make the tax system easier for everyone to understand and follow, and encourage more people to pay their taxes voluntarily without being afraid of complex rules.
And to make life easier for taxpayers right away, there are a bunch of practical changes. For example, you'll now have more time to fix any mistakes on your tax returns. The upfront tax you pay on international travel or when sending money abroad for school or medical care has been lowered. Plus, there are simpler rules for disclosing small foreign assets and some tax relief for people who've received accident compensation.
Now, let's get to the new income tax slabs. At first glance, the rates for each income level haven't changed. But the big news here is the impact of rebates. A rebate is basically a discount on your final tax bill. And because of these rebates, if you earn up to 12 lakh rupees a year, you won't actually have to pay any income tax. That is a major financial win for millions of middle-class families. So after looking at all these different pieces, what's the verdict? I mean, this budget is incredibly ambitious, no doubt about it. But how is it being received, and what are some of the potential roadblocks? Well, like with any national budget, the reactions are mixed. On one hand, business leaders have largely cheered it on. They love the policy consistency, the focus on financial stability, and of course, the continued investment in infrastructure, which they see as vital for growth. On the other hand, there's also criticism. For example, the decision to leave the state of Kerala out of the new high-speed rail projects has definitely sparked a debate about whether development is being shared fairly across all regions.
When you boil it all down, this budget is one massive bet. It's a detailed blueprint for transforming India into a self-reliant, high-value, globally integrated developed nation, what the government is calling Viksit Bharat, by the year 2047, which will be 100 years of independence.
And that, of course, leaves us with the final, all-important question. The vision is clear, the blueprint is on the table, the money has been allocated, but turning this grand ambition into a reality on the ground, well, that's the real challenge. So will the execution match the ambition? Only time will tell.